Let's talk a little bit about Stephen Strasburg. And, we can guess from the outside looking in that he's one of the other guys that likes the creature comforts of familiarity. He is a ground-level guy in D.C. He's an institution guy for them. Does that at all help their chances at retaining him, or is he going to chase the biggest number out there?
I would say both. It helps their chances, but he's still going to chase a big number. That's why he opted out of the remaining contract in the first place. Remember, he had 4 years left at $100 million. What's interesting about Strasburg, and I did some research on this, we know he had Tommy John surgery in 2010. We know he threw 245 in a third innings combined with postseason last year. That is by far the highest total of his career. But he is not necessarily the Tommy John risk for a second surgery that fans might think. And a couple of journals came out with scientific studies basically saying the risk of revision, a second Tommy John surgery for major league pitchers, is 9%. Strasburg's agent, Scott Boras, says that for elite, accomplished starting pitchers, it's even lower. Guys who
this is a high-end all-star pitcher.
And then with Strasburg also, you see their peak velocity, average velocity, usage. Those are all career lows, and when you talk about risk factors for further injury, it actually helps him that his velocity is trending downward, his fastball usage is trending downward as well. He has not had another Tommy John since that one in 2010, and according to these studies, usually the average length of time between those two surgeries, if you have a second, is just under 4 years. So, while every pitcher is a risk, while Strasburg certainly is a risk as well, the second Tommy John thing, while we talk about it a lot, is not necessarily as prominent a concern as it otherwise might be.
You're a dream for science.
Who is?
Yes, that is true.
Thank you, H. Appreciate that.
Kenny, what about if we went back to yesteryear when the so-called ball was taken out of Strasburg's hand in the Washington Nationals playoff push, we just saw what this man was capable of doing in this postseason. The narrative on Stephen Strasburg could be so much different than it actually is, and I think that narrative is starting to change because when this dude's on the bump, he is no doubt about it one of the best this game has, period. But if he was able to pitch way back when and they would have made another run and they would have won one back then, we would be looking at Strasburg in a completely different way.
You know what, Bill, though? It's interesting. I remember talking to Ryan Zimmerman during the postseason about this and Mike Rizzo. Of course, they were both the only people still with the Nationals there at that time, or the most prominent people there at that time. And Zimmerman made the point that perhaps Strasburg would not be the pitcher he is today if the Nationals had not taken care of him coming off that Tommy John and in that season, 2012. And Rizzo says he has no regrets whatsoever about that decision. He sleeps like a baby knowing he made it. And remember at the time, it was extremely controversial. The Nats did not go as far in the playoffs as they might have with Strasburg. And yet, he has had, right now, you look at this 2019 combined stats, pretty good. And maybe it's all because they took care of him and protected him at an early age. We'll never know the exact answer to that, and you're right. If he had pitched and pitched well and stayed healthy, the narrative might be completely different, but turns out the narrative's pretty good anyway. He's already made a lot of money. He's going to make even more money in free agency.
Keep doing your thing, man. You're on the right trajectory, man.
Harold endorsing the free agent candidacy of Stephen Strasburg.